Don't happen. Not in Boston. They don't play that. They're not listening to no authority. There's no splinter gangs. There's not an authority telling you what to do. Nah, that's not going on. It's a whole bunch of rebels. And those rebels can only be guided if it's somebody that they respect, that they seen make it out another way, then they can possibly take heed to that opposite way. But you got to be somebody that's accredited. They don't just play all that low level. Anybody tell them that shit don't happen.
Right.
Ain't got a moment. When they see you down, just know they love it.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Bounce Back Podcast. I got a special guest with me today, man. Why don't you introduce yourself to the people, bro?
Solar born to God, peace.
Solar born, my God, man. So we met upstate, Concord. We was on J2 together. I only knew you from there on out. So let's take it back, man. Where are you from?
I'm from the whole Boston, but primarily South End, Roxbury, Dorchester raised. Inner city of Boston, all areas. Nothing off. Universal Boston.
So what was it like in that era in Boston, man? What was everything like? What was like? Just describe, paint the picture for the people who may not know. Maybe the young cats that don't, the 90s, 80s was a little different, all that, man.
Yeah, born in the 80s, growing up in the 90s mostly, young in the 80s. Boston is very eclectic. It's no one way. It's real street, real gritty. It was real foundational. It's one of the northernmost cities on the East Coast. New York's down south to us. So with that culture, we don't get things far removed from like fast as New York gets. So the drugs came in probably early 80s, 84. So I'm growing up in that culture, fast life. A lot of crime going on in the streets of Boston. It was a lot of great people too, but those formative years, Boston was super dope. At that time, we was living mostly in Dorchester, Roxbury, running around, living with different people. Mom's hadn't got her housing yet. Pops and moms split. So for me, it was beautiful though, living in the city of Boston. It was beautiful, even though we were struggling. I didn't really comprehend any of that. It looked beautiful. Everybody was loving each other in the city of Boston. All the other stuff I learned was after.
Right.
To sum it up, I'll just say it was super dope in the city of Boston. Right. Everything was there.
Got you. Yeah, there was that era, man. It was like crack hit the country, and it just started. Crime started to escalate. I feel like everywhere. California, New York,
Philly.
Yeah, all that, and it was like, but it was so that was like crack doing that, but it was like cocaine was so normalized almost back then. If you
prior to that, hell yeah. Everybody born before the 80s, it's just regular for them to sniff coke. Like, if you're born in 79, 78, 77, like, that's just regular. Once we came around, like, people that was born in 80, 81, it's not till that era that we're like, nah, we don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, nah, we're cool. We only smoking weed and we drinking. How we grew up, at least in our city.
Speak for yourself, exactly. And it was just like, it was new too.
Right.
So like you didn't see the bad side of it until, like you said, a little later when we started to come up. And
they was thinking it was party. They thinking it was like the party element of what coke was, and it was a little more tricky that they would find out in no time.
Just even think about like mainstream culture, like you had the Celtics #1 draft pick Len Bias overdosed on cocaine.
Right.
Like that don't happen nowadays. That's the number. That's like if LeBron, but that's how prevalent cocaine and how accepted it was. It just was something that like, you just got drafted to the NBA out of Maryland or whatever, and it's time to party, and they would go to that, and it unfortunately it took things like that happening, but it was affecting the streets too a lot more. Like that's mainstream culture. Like you even think Hollywood, how big was it in studio, whatever the heck it was they were doing over there.
Hey,
Chris Farley, all those celebrities was so normalized, and we were the kids that came up under that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Hey, you got individuals like, you got mad mainstream individuals such as Bobby Brown bringing Whitney in. You got Reggie Lewis. You got what's homie's name? Chris Herron. Homie that's playing for the Celtics. That's homie. I think they said he was going out grabbing bags in the parking lot. Don't quote me.
Does he goes around and speaks on it nowadays or something like that?
I think so.
I know this probably a few athletes though. If you think about it,
in our city, we got a lot of individuals that got caught up in that particular game that you wouldn't think was playing in those type of sports. You know what I mean? In our city, so
also too, I mean, Boston was pretty like racially segregated back then, right? Am I right to say that? Because like you said, where was you? Dorchester, Roxbury.
Right.
You didn't mention Charlestown or South Boston.
It's dope.
What was that tension like? Was there tension if you kind of just stayed there? Did you venture out there? What's that as a young Boston kid?
Because we're one of the first, I'm like one of the first waves of individuals that were getting sent out to Boston, like to go integrate with those schools. I'm probably like when it was just getting calm. So I remember us living in, we was staying with my auntie in Lenox, like first grade. Right. So we going to the Warren Prescott in Charlestown. So I came encountered with a lot of that tension within school at an early age, but I didn't see it that. Okay. You know, I'm too young for all of that, but I do know that it was different, and there wasn't no white people in my neighborhood. So I did know when I was going to Charlestown at school that those friends were a different type of friends, and I saw I saw a difference. But you know, I grew up going to those schools and seeing the better parts of those individuals that I went to school, got to know as classmates, as other people grew up having beef, getting bottles thrown at them, or having smoke with them. You know what I mean?
Right.
That ain't my story.
Okay.
My story is I went to Charlestown. I went to Eastie. I went to middle school in Charlestown. I went to elementary school in Charlestown. Even though I went to numerous Dorchester schools, South End schools. Went to high school in Eastie. I didn't encounter the beef with, you know, the individuals racially charged in any way. That ain't my story.
Okay, now what about the actual schools? Was there a difference when you go to more the predominantly white schools as opposed to the predominantly black schools, maybe like in Roxbury, Dorchester, as far as like the quality of maybe school supplies?
That's
or
what
teaching,
it was supposed. That's what it was.
Because that's kind of what you hear. You know what I mean?
That's what we thought.
That kind of sparked the whole busing thing.
That's
at least
what we
from what
thought. That's what we thought, but this wasn't metco. We still going to a fucking Boston public. Right. Whether you had white children who were broke in Charlestown, mixing with so-called niggas that was broke in Charlestown, it wasn't gonna change nothing. Everybody's fucked up coming from houses. Right. They got crackhead parents just like us in the household. Yep. The skin ain't enough to have as a difference. Right. When we share that both of our parents just sent us to school fucked up, and they was getting high last night, and we got more similarities, you feel me? Yep. So all of those differences we ain't able to see, not in Boston public schools. Right. Now, outside of Boston public schools, individuals that was getting bussed out to go to metco, that's a little different. They going out to Lincoln, they going out to Newton. Charlestown, East Boston, them white boys is niggas.
Projects.
What do you
got projects, how many free projects in South Eco?
Bro, they're in the projects. They're like us.
They're low income.
They're like us. It's no difference.
For the people that don't know, like what's metco?
So metco is a different program. I don't know exactly what metco. I forget what metco stands for, but metco is a program that gets inner city children to bring them to schools in more suburban areas that are not inner city Boston, so to speak. So most of those schools had so-called better curriculums or higher class learning. So a lot of my friends from my neighborhood that I grew up in the South End, a lot of them went to metco. So I was one of the only public school children. So I got to see the experience of how many of them that went to metco and the teachings they was getting. And that's how I was able to pick up on so much advancement because I was tapping in with their books and their instruments that they did have. But in Boston Public, nah, Boston Public was all fucked up. It don't matter if it was in Charlestown or Dorchester. Right. Eastie and Charlestown in Dorchester were both messed up schools. The Burke and the same thing. Dorchester, Madison, Roxbury, Southie, all of them schools was similar. You had urban students going to them. Once a Boston kid gets in that system, Shit's not what it was no more. Bostonians is different.
Right.
They different all around. You stick one Bostonian any place, you know that a Bostonian's there.
Right.
Any place. I've been to a few states, and everywhere Bostonian was, they're different.
So
What's up with
explain the Boston culture for people who may not know, maybe even some Wakefield or like LA, you know?
Yeah.
Explain what the Boston culture is in your point of view.
Yeah, a whole bunch of blocks and projects and streets, a whole bunch of divided mentality, individuals, the bottom of the bottom, underdogs, fighting each other day in and day out, also fighting the so-called upper class, what they classify as white people, and fighting individuals in their neighborhood creates such a type of character that is inexplainable, in how much heart they got and how intelligent we've become, because we're closest to all of the schools, but we're so thickly concentrated in project areas and thickly settled areas that individuals just come out so tough that it's it's wild. And there's a million different blocks, and nobody wants to claim that next block. Nobody's teaming up. There's not no unity.
Right.
It's all disunity. It's like, we're not fucking with them kids over there, no matter where you from. It be the closest ones, the individuals that you went to school with, that you got the most smoke with.
Damn.
From the next street over, like across the street, projects that is literally crossing one street.
And there's a lot of carryover, no, from generation to generation. It seems, kind of senseless. I mean,
and the thing is, that's a term that they always use, senseless, because they can't make sense of it. It's less sense made to them because you're not on that inner circle. If you're in the inner circle, you totally get what it's over. Everybody understands when we watch the movie Boys in the Hood, when Trey says, meet me at my house in a couple minutes, and then gets out the car, but Doughboy's going for the ride, we all understand what they're going to get back for, and there's a sense made of it. But if you don't have the backstory, then you're going to say it's senseless because you ain't in this inner circle to understand what harm was done on these
so
particular
you really need
parties.
to know the context.
Yeah.
It's not just a senseless shooting. There's
no such thing.
History behind it, right?
There's
whatever it may be, your older cousin and my older cousin, somebody lost their life, or whatever. Now we're beefing generation after generation. Do you think there's a way to stop that? I mean, you got these big rivalries of Boston. I'm not even from Boston, and this street got beef with this street, and it's like big beef. Do you think there's any way to kind of to stop that?
The culture in the city where we from, it's not no stopping. I mean, individuals get raised to the level of awareness generationally. They can phase out. They can learn different alternatives, and that's what Boys Out of the Hood's all about, showing individuals a way out, as I've navigated a way out of those systems, to show individuals that you don't have to live that lifestyle, but it takes them being removed from those geographical limitations in order to see outside, to think outside the box. So I think they can age out of the smoke, but generationally, sometimes these young individuals, grandpops had smoke with grandpops, so they naturally just don't like those individuals. So to tell them, and there's a whole bunch of bodies that have been laid in between some of these smokes, so to tell them to get along with them individuals is not realistic sometimes. It just takes removing them and bringing them to different places to see different things, to get their mind off of being in that active state
instead of
being
just
an
telling
active
them,
member.
Get over it. Like,
Yeah,
it
that
has nothing to
shit
do
don't
with
happen.
you. Like, okay,
That
you
shit
don't know,
happen. Shit don't happen. Not in Boston. They don't play that. They're not listening to no authority. There's no splinter gangs. There's not an authority telling you what to do. Nah, that shit's not going on. It's a whole bunch of rebels, and those rebels can only be guided if there's somebody that they respect, that they seen make it out another way. Then they can possibly take heed to that opposite way. But you got to be somebody that's accredited. They don't just play all that low level. Anybody tell them shit. That shit don't happen.
Right. So let's get into that a little more. Let's talk about Boys in the Hood. Like, what is it? What's its purpose? How can people get involved? Maybe they have kids that want to.
Okay.
Is it an after school thing? Just explain to me and the people out there.
So Boys Out of the Hood booth was inspired by the movie Boys in the Hood. growing up, that was my favorite movie, but I wanted to make a change about that. So while early in my bid, I realized that, you know, Boys Out of the Hood Booth would be a mentoring program that I had as an aspiration to be able to teach young youth that I saw like me, specially handpicked, to be able to strive to guide them and help them navigate to getting out of the hood and being boys out of the hood, meaning thinking outside of the box and creating, showing them how that they can create businesses for their self based off of a skill set that we recognize that they have within them, and cultivate that via partnerships with different institutions that have already been set up around the city and abroad, to get these students opportunities to go out of state sometimes and get a particular skill set or an experience so that they can cultivate and be developed in their field, to teach them how to not go work for somebody and not fall in the same traps of most people in the demographics of inner city Boston end up like myself going through. Because I myself was exposed to a program called Paul Robeson Institute when I was younger for positive self-development. And within that program, which is sort of a mentorship too, shout out to Concerned Black Men of Massachusetts, a lot of those big brothers had skill sets that was able to keep them from out of the hood, being a boy in the hood. So once I saw that skill set and that mentality that many of them had was something that many of us was gonna need in the future. So they paid it forward to me, and it's just my duty to pay it forward to the future, to let them know, yo, you could do it. It may be rough, but you can still do it.
Right.
And even though I had those mentors, I still went through the bumping of my own head and running around and not listening to that information, because I had to find out on my own. So if I could save another one for having to waste 25 years to get to this point, you know, it's my life purpose, my experience.
So let's talk about that. Like you said, they're not gonna just take it from just anybody. You gotta be solidified. You gotta be able to be someone that maybe they can relate to, or someone that's been there. You know what I mean? And when did you start falling down the path of getting in trouble and stuff like that? What did you get in trouble at school? Was it in the streets?
Bro, I was too smooth to really be getting in trouble. I ain't really getting in trouble. I was with the shits, but I wasn't getting
caught
trouble.
like that? Okay.
All these niggas, all my friends that was going to juvie and all that, I was laughing at that. I really didn't understand that, because I'm doing the same things, but I'm not getting caught. The key was to not get caught. So I really wasn't in trouble much, even though I was doing things that I wasn't supposed to be doing that I knew better, but I had to figure it out as a youth. And it's probably little cute things at 10, 11, 12, you know what I mean? But I'm from a thickly settled area where we deep, so we all doing these type of things. As far as system-wise, I got convicted when I was 19 years old for a case I caught when I was 18 years old. So all those young years playing, I didn't do that. I didn't go in and out of juvie. I didn't go in out of South Bay and the
what
county.
about like suspensions and detentions in school? Because I feel like a lot of times that's a precursor. You know what I mean?
The
indicator,
school to prison pipeline. School to prison
Talk
pipeline.
about it.
I don't think that was mine. I mean, my conduct a little bit when I was in school wasn't the best, but my grades was generally on point. Moms and grandpops in my community and my family was keeping me on point to stay on point in school, but my conduct, as far as how certain teachers were speaking to me and their attitude, I would stand up for myself and always be articulate in that way. So my conduct would be a little bit down, but my effort maybe a little bit down, but my grades would still be up. I was getting honor roll and shit growing up in school, winning spelling bees and all of that. So that's my story.
And you think it was important, like you said, your mom, like pushing that, you know, and kind of making sure, like,
yeah, she got me
valued
the support.
the education.
She taught the education within the house, but she also got supplementary teachings by sending us to other programs and camps and after school programs, because the moms and pops, they can't do that shit by themselves. You got to be socialized, and you have to be taught in the consistency of these disciplined walks of life and steadily challenging yourself to grow into your higher self. So once I was convicted years later, I had to learn how to go inside and read, and I understood the importance of all that while niggas was playing, my individuals was playing around, playing cards and lollygagging on the unit. I saw the structure that moms and grandpops and those supplemental teachers, mentors in my neighborhood had been striving to get me to. And I didn't look at it as it's too late now.
Okay, right.
It was the time.
Yeah, there is no other time but now.
Right.
If anything.
Present.
And so just
do it now.
To be clear, do it now 3 times. To be clear, you graduated high school?
I didn't graduate.
So talk about what happened.
I went to the joint. I was still classified as a freshman in high school, but technically that year that I got arrested, I was supposed to be a senior. So after lollygagging so long, you know, skipping out of school, playing around, fucking around, thinking you being slick, that record catch up to you when you look at it and you see that you're still in the 9th grade. So I ended up doing better the year before, which was supposed to be my junior year. I ended up playing varsity ball for 1 year, and I caught my case that after that season, I think. So I went to the joint straight from playing varsity basketball for East Boston High School in the city, and next thing you know, I was upstate.
I was gonna say that first conviction, state bid.
15 years upstate, 8.5 to 15.
Did you wait trial in county where you held, or did you bail out?
Yep. So I sat down for a few months. I ended up bailing out, and then I got convicted after being out probably for like 6 months on bail.
So you didn't do the juvenile thing. So you get to adult jail. I mean, Nashua Street, I assume. Is that and then that's pretty wild. Was there anything intimidating, or how did you feel about that? How did you feel about yourself, your life? What was going through your mind as a young man and facing a serious charge? Obviously, you went upstate.
I'm a smart individual, bro, and I'm connected and I'm brave. So I didn't have the same fears that some people my age did. Soon as I got on the unit, I'm knowing everybody already. I'm from the neighborhood. I played ball everywhere. I went to every school. Everybody in Boston know me. So it was like, once I'm on the unit, individuals like, oh yeah, homie said, like, he cool with me. Oh, that's my cousin. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Right.
Mind you, all of my mother's brothers already did time. So I'm knowing all these as older cousins and uncles and in the streets of Boston. It's a tight-knit community. Right. You feel me? So everybody's already knowing me. I'm already knowing everybody. I'm just seeing fam. It's regular to me. And while I'm in the county, you know what I mean? It's just I'm thinking about this case and striving to beat this case, and I don't want to do time. That was my mentality at 18 years old. You know what I mean?
Got you. So you bailed out. Then you end up getting sentenced. You went to trial? Did you cop out?
Yep. Nope. I wasn't taught to cop out. We ain't never learned that.
That's that mafia
Yeah,
thing.
we ain't never learned that where I'm from. So I went to trial.
I learned that much later in
I went
life
to
not
trial.
do that,
I had a terrible judge that was smoking a lot of individuals that was young, so-called black, and from the city of Boston. His name was James McDaniels, and I think he returned to the essence. But he was smoking us. He was sending individuals away for a long time. It was like he had a grudge for us, and many of us was overcharged and had been rehabilitated ourselves well before the 1,000,000 years, 1,000 years, and hundreds of years that we had to do.
So you went from the streets? Because you said you bailed out. You went.
Yeah, I went to trial off the streets.
Yeah. I mean, you get hit with that sentence, 15 years. You're sitting in that holding tank behind the courtroom or whatever, and you know you're ready to go up top, man. Like, what's going through your mind, man? What's going through your mind at that time?
So my uncle and my man had just tripped out in the courtroom, and basically it was so ill. Like how those sentences goes. You don't even realize like what they saying. It sounds like you got 1 trillion years. All of the times that they repeat the amount of years, like we don't know legalese. We don't know law. Me not knowing law, I'm thinking that I got 1,000,000 years. So I'm just like, damn, how'd they find me guilty? First of all, they don't got no weapon. They just got homeboy's word versus my word. That's it. All of this TV shit that I had seen about what it took for you to get convicted, all that shit was out the window. So now I'm just thinking about those parts. I'm like, damn, I got 1 trillion years, and it wasn't true what they said about law. Like, damn, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm just, baffled at that time. But I do remember, like, having consciousness as I'm walking down the hall sentenced with them holding my arms, and I remember having a moment where I was like, damn, I'm only 19, 15 years, fuck it. Or 8 times 15 years it sounded like. Right. I'm like, why the fuck don't I just jump out this window while these dudes is going down the hall? Bro, that shit lasted for about 3 seconds. Then I said, nah, you said you wanted to be the illest ever. Like, this is the type of shit you got to go through. And like, it was like something came over me in that second and my head's up and now I'm just traveling with them. I'm like, yo, fuck that. I'm about to find the Scared Straight program, whatever they got where I could teach the youth and whoop, 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 oh, word. And that just turned into a superhero in that moment, bro. And every step after that I've taken has been aligned with manifesting who I said I was in that moment after going through that brief seconds of thinking about the S word.
Yeah, no, all these like I like to call them like intrusive thoughts. Right. Like these thoughts are gonna come in your head sometimes, and then you just gotta recognize it for what it is. Like you said, you had that self-talk, like you the man, right? Like it's time to be the man. I feel like those self-talks are like super important, bro. Like especially when you're alone in these situations. Even if you're, you know, more like self-thought, self-dialogue. You're sitting on that bunk. You ain't got the radio yet. You ain't got nothing yet. I mean, sometimes you get it right away, but still, even that is so much. And you have these extreme self-talks, bro. And I feel like that was super important for me, man. Can you relate to that?
Oh my. Oh, I mean that. It's called neurolinguistics. They're triggers that create a neuroplasticity or the regeneration of your brain by words and code talk. You're coding yourself to who you are at that moment. Like, man, I ain't no rat. Right. Like, I am stand up. I could take responsibility. Like, you affirming all of them things to yourself, and it was happening prior to us being in those situations, unbeknownst to us, while we were seeing other people go through these things. We were already saying the decisions we would make if we got in those situations. Right. Now we in those situations, is you gonna say it loud enough to yourself, or are you gonna psych yourself into a belief in your inferiority? It's 2 choices. Some people choose the inferiority. Individuals like us, we was like, okay, light switch, okay, let's go.
Right, got you. And I always look at it too, like, cause like you said, you coming up, you got uncles, you got this and that, people who've been there in and out. And I look at things and I'm like, man, nothing against nobody, but if you can do it, I can do it. And if I really put,
against
I could probably
I'm better.
Do it better, bro.
Word, you ain't as hard as me.
It brings me back, bro, and no lie. And I still think of it to this day. I don't know, I forget, maybe 9, 10 years old at Water Country, ready to go down to Geronimo, and you waiting up.
Geronimo's the scariest.
Yeah, it's a straight for those who don't know. It's a straight drop. Yeah, it's a straight drop all the way down. And you like feel like you come off it a little bit, and you got a big ass wedgie when you get up.
Cross your arms like this and lay back.
Yeah. What? So I would see kids, and it's a big line, so you got nothing but time to think about it. They're coming down where you going up. And then I saw like a little girl, man, must have been a couple years younger than me. You know, stone face. I'm like, man, she can do it. I could do it. Right. And that's what it was. And I take that with me to this day. You know what I mean? Like, if you could do it, I could do it. There's nothing different about us besides our experiences and stuff like that. And I feel like, man, we done been through a lot. Like, we could do anything. Right. We could do it. Like, I always bring it back to, like, anytime I'm going through something out here, I'd have been like, man, on my best day in there, I'd have given everything to do what I'm doing now.
What?
Suck it up, bro.
Just to walk to the store.
Right,
yo,
bro.
I swear, I'll come back if you just let me go get a soda. Honestly, we would go back.
Like, to the point, I feel like, man, I'd give up a pinky or a finger just to get out like a year. Like, that's what you think. That's how bad it is. And then we out here, and then it's like, man, I'd have killed for these problems. Man, I'd have gave my pinky for these problems.
Listen,
and it's
these
good to
little
keep
ass
that
problems we got out here, we ain't got no problems.
Exactly.
This shit's a beautiful life. You see how happy I am, screaming supreme elevation every day. Supreme elevation, divine rising, y'all is great. That's because we done made it through 1,000,000 years. And we know. Bro, how aggravating it was every night that a CO comes and flashes the light on you.
Right in your eyes. Dog, like a floodlight.
Dog, those type of things. Those little things that are agging you every day. Nothing out here can ever compare.
Right. Walk me through, man. At this point, you get sentenced. You go, where was classification at the time? Was this Concord?
Concord, but my team, you know, me coming from where I come from, who I was and all of that, they like, bruh, you're going to the max. You just missed Texas. You lucky you didn't catch Texas, but you still going to the max. So I stayed at Concord for like 2 days. Know what I mean? We was out of there. Max, gang,
talk to me about that Texas thing, because I know of like people who would, but I don't know the whole details. What were they doing? Why?
I caught my case. They had some sort of connection, Boston to Texas, and they was shipping individuals out to Texas from Boston, straight from Nashua Street, on flights, on planes. Niggas was terrified, like, bro, they just sent such and such to Texas. Bro, I don't want them to send me to Texas. And I just missed it. These prisons are private. Like, a lot of the things they doing, it's not no rules to what the hell they doing.
So it was like an overpopulation thing, because it didn't seem to be like a trade-off, right? We weren't getting people from Texas. It was more like we were just sending.
That's all I remember. Right. All I remember is individuals getting shipped out.
You don't remember nobody from Texas
friends
coming, right?
Nah,
okay,
hell
just to be clear. All right, I was wondering about that. Like, what was going on with that? Because I do know at least one dude, if not, I'm thinking two, who always talked about like they had to go to Texas and things are different. Like you said, you go up the way. You got your peoples that know you, right?
Yeah,
you
in your own state.
I hate to say it, groomed for it, kinda in a way.
I could have came home much more gloomy had they send me to out of state and I wasn't able to get the love and have my support system around me, such as I was so blissed up to have my support system, so appreciative of my daughter's mother holding me down the whole time, us rocking, like, I mean, being on the VI, making sure she's writing me, making sure all the time the phone was on. I seen a whole lot of individuals that did not have that type of support. So, you know what I mean? My heart always went out to them, but I'm truly always indebted to her for, riding like that, and the sisters that did see the importance of riding with us in those situations. Know what I mean?
It must have been a lot for people from that to get shipped. It's like you don't even got a Fed case. At least you got a Fed case. You kind of know that comes with the territory. But it's like I remember just being in Metro Boston, DYS, and getting shipped to Taunton, which is not that far.
Taunton secure.
When I'm telling them I'm from Cambridge, they're like, "Where's that?"
Right.
You know, and mind you, I think it was like the fifth population-wise, fifth biggest. I know it was going back and forth between Lowell. You know, you got Boston, Worcester, Springfield, and I think Lowell and Cambridge were going back and forth as far as population-wise, who was the bigger city. Right. But still, these kids, like, they don't know, I don't know nobody there. Like, usually you get there, you know somebody that knows somebody, and you can kind of click off of that. Right. Or at least there's that mutual, okay, if you know this person, you know that person. So, yeah, that's wild that those people were getting shipped to Texas and you lucked out.
It's tougher the less people you know. So even me, who went upstate, in my same state, individuals in the county, they're getting visited more because individuals are closer in the city. Now you go to the state, it's the whole state. So if you're further away in that state, your people may have a more difficult time making it up to visit you, and it might be contingent upon that. If you didn't burn bridges, first of all, for your people to want to come see you. Right. You feel me? But then the next step is, if you're out of state, how often do your people go? If you're from Massachusetts and you're in Florida, you're in Texas, you're in such and such, you know what I mean? So I give thanks and ultra gratitude that I got to stay in my own state with people that I knew and got to, really live like an individual would want to live if you got to go through that type of lifestyle behind the wall, you know what I mean? Like the movies.
Big time, yeah, and that's a big if, because, man, I was in Concord, my whole state bid. That's 20 minutes from Cambridge, bro. Right. That's not that far on the weekend, especially, traffic. Right. And I got maybe 2-3 visits. One was like my dad and my stepmom coming from Florida, you know what I mean? Right. And it was like, I was doing such a short time where it wasn't that big of a deal to me. Like, I got my head down. I'm not really trying to, be bothered with none of the bullshit. I'm here as a man. Let me do my time, pay my debt, and get the hell out of here. Right. Get the hell out of this place. Because this place, no disrespect to nobody in there, anything like that. But I would look around and be like, I'm better than this. Right. I'm not better than all of y'all, man. I made a mistake just like every one of y'all. Right. And luckily, I did things that could have been a lot longer. Right. But I'm better than this.
Yeah. This shit ain't defining me, right? Bro. And the ill part is what you said, even though you was doing such a short time, even we all still will appreciate that appreciation of individuals showing us during those moments that we are as valuable as we know we are. We know the value. However, at such some formative years, that external validation is necessary for the confidence for you to go to the next levels and do the self-talk yourself. See, sometimes we need a personal trainer before we learn how to train on our own. You need somebody to motivate you before
I
you
think
learn
it's
to
more
motivate
of
yourself.
an accountability thing too,
Right.
because like with having probation,
Right.
I'll tell you what, it was much easier to quit weed when I was on probation because that accountability, that real life consequences than me just telling myself like, yo, you should quit. You'll get in better physical condition. You'll
wow.
feel better. But that accountability, like that personal trainer can be that. Your fitness PO or
Right.
whatever. And
Right.
sometimes we gotta reach out. You know, it's tough. We can do it ourselves, but why not
Then you
utilize?
got individuals like myself who the whole while on parole, nigga, I'm drinking a little bit of vinegar and water before I go to woo woo woo. Miss Carl, shout out Miss Carlita, shout out Mr. Jerome, Liz Better. I mean, shout out y'all. You know, I was getting over on y'all asses, all them individuals. You understand? Some people are self-motivated, then other people can utilize motivation from external. And sometimes, you know, it switches, it varies, you don't know. But you may need that and I might need this at the same points, you know what I mean? So it's like it's always both sides. It's always
and I want to emphasize
views.
too, man, how like especially now where like weed is legal, that should not be a thing on the probation, the parole thing. Bro.
Oh yeah, they bugging,
bro. Not for
that's
nothing.
just-
That's when I had to quit weed for probation. That turned me into the big alcoholic, right? Because I wasn't ready to face life sober. But you know what? They can't piss test. You know, I'm still on probation. I'm still fighting things. I'm still facing possibility
I'm still
of
looking
time.
for some escape.
Right, but I'm like, I always look at what's
Coping mechanisms.
worst case scenario versus worst case scenario. You take too much weed and you do too much. At least for me, my worst case scenario with the alcohol is gonna be adding to the population or subtracting to the population. Whether either meaning it could be so bad where I meet the I pass away, or it could take somebody else's, and now I'm sent for life. But when I'm not trying to claim to be like no tough guy or anything like that. I'm just saying worst case scenario, looking at it, because that's what I try to do. Look at the worst. If you prepare for the worst case, you should be able to be ready for anything that falls under that.
Right.
But like worst case scenario with weed is like what? You get the munchies and pass out. So I really want to emphasize like that shouldn't be a thing, bro. Like that shouldn't be a thing with probation or anything like that. Especially Massachusetts. That stuff's legal now, bro. Like
this is all business. It's all business with it where many of us know that alcohol can have much more of a everlasting effect on you than weed over these years. But you know, people got jobs and people have to make money off of those who know not. You know what I mean? So that's the science, and we ain't striving to step on nobody's toes. Individuals gonna navigate through these worlds just like we had to, just the same way, man. Ain't no cheat codes, you heard?
Well, when you go through the trauma of like being like an inner city kid or what, like I'm not from Boston, but like trauma, like my mom was a dope head growing up. Like I seen my mom with a needle in her arm. I'm trying to go downstairs to tell her good news about something, whatever it was at school or whatever, and it's like, oh, never mind. You know what I mean? Right. And it's like the trauma associated with that makes you much more susceptible to alcoholism or to spaz out and those things that, you know, maybe I was keeping inside for so long that I couldn't just talk to my boy at school because he's not going to relate. You know, I had that one boy, and I think that's why we clicked so much. You know, my brother Sawbuck, bro, we was tight, and it was because we similar, you know, different but similar, but we kind of bonded together over that because a lot of our friends, you know, and good for them, they came from more working class, you know, families. You know, you had the Portuguese immigrants that came over, they worked hard, they had these houses, they instilled that on their children, and that's great, and I don't knock, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what I would try to do for my next generation, so I don't knock that, but it was just like, it builds a certain, you know, a certain character having to go through it to get through it, bro. But let's talk about you get up to the max, man. Like was that around the time it just opened up? Was Walpole still open?
Yep. No, I got to the max the end of 99. I got convicted in the end of 99. I was to the max in days. So I was like, I was upstate on November 1st. By November 3rd, I was already in the max. long live my dog Bam. Bam had just came off of the situation with stabbing up the superintendent and all of that. They was like the first wave of individuals right after the Texas move. Texas was like 97, early 98 or whatever. My case was later in 98, convicted in 1999. So, yeah, the max was turned up. They sent me up there into they was just switching the gang block out from I think Norfolk at where it had been before to now it was to Shirley Max. So I'm like one of the first groups that got sent to the gang block in Shirley Max.
And why did they put you in the gang block? Did they associate you with any particular like blood gang, Crip gang, or was it like a Boston block thing, or like, or just your charge? Like what's up?
I'm from a Boston block. Everybody knew where my Boston block was from and all of that, but that's not where they had me from. I guess they just had associated my name and they tied me with some that I ain't even. They had me up there in a whole different section. So by the time that I seen like who they had me down with, I'm looking at the paper like, these dummies. They got me over here in the whole Dorchester crew, fam. I ain't lived in Dorchester in a few years. It's been clear that I was from the end. Everybody knew, like, if anything, you saying Roxbury, and Nana live in Roxbury, so I'm always in the Berry going to the boys club. And I mean, so a lot of individuals thought I was from Roxbury, which I am. But when I moved to the South End, I moved to a neighborhood that hadn't been developed. So I'm like one of the first that live in it. So everybody know I rep that neighborhood. So it was clear. So I was like, these weirdos, like they don't even got me from my block.
Right.
That was a funny time. I mean,
yeah, and I can see it's the administration, so they're like kind of putting these pieces together, right? I mean, most inmates aren't really forthcoming. You're not gonna give them all the info. I don't know. It's not something we really do. It's just like it's just
they going off of no information, man. They really just don't know anything. If individuals don't tell them, then they don't know nothing. Not back in that day. Back in that day, they didn't have all of the surveillance wasn't available and all that. Individuals had to cooperate that knew you to give up that information. And I definitely had no cooperation with their side. So I guess they just didn't have it right. Going off of tattoos and going off of tags they seen on walls with a similar name to my honorable name. And they came up to some stupid ass conclusion. It ain't had nothing to do with me. It was,
got you.
You know what I mean? I was up there with a lot of other individuals from many different blocks in the being that I knew, that I appreciated, that I got some good time with to kick and learn, you know, getting upstate, get acclimated the right way where it wasn't a low level. I got sent to the high level, so I got to know how to appreciate it immediately.
Got you.
And I love that.
And Shirley Max is an AKA for Sousa baranowski. I take you know the story behind that. Who it's like named after what, two COs
two of the
that
COs.
were stabbed in Norfolk or something like that?
Yeah. Sousa and Baranowski. I think they said it was named after two different officers. I didn't know the full story.
And that was at Norfolk, which like just to show you, like in Massachusetts, it could be anywhere and things could pop off anywhere. Like Norfolk's not like Norfolk's a stop where a lot of people want to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The program wise, but still can pop off. I think it houses the highest population of inmates in this Massachusetts State Prison.
Yeah, they got the largest population.
So you sitting in the max, man. How long you up there? You did you got 15 years. You're 2 days in. You're in the max. Like what? How long were you up in the max?
I didn't get to stay. I didn't have to stay up there that long. I was in the max for a short period of time. It was like an interdiction, so you had to go through basically like a little probationary period. I got sent out of there, and I actually ended up going to Norfolk, and I get into a situation at Norfolk that got me sent back to the max. So, but I lasted down Norfolk for like a few months, you know what I mean? And that's a camp where dudes kick up their feet if you got a long bid. That's why I was able to get there, because of the type of bid structure that I had. Enough time to go to that camp where there's a lot of lifers on the camp. There's a lot of programs on that camp. So to help you, but I ended up getting into a situation with a...
Was that with another inmate convict?
So-called corny-ass gang member, some Latin affiliated crew, and at that time, no disrespect to nobody, I rock with everybody, but this one individual was a corny individual amongst one of the Latin sects, and we ended up getting into a situation, and that got me sent back up to the max. While in the max for a little while, me and my man ended up call ourselves standing up against some officers who had moved on another individual that we knew. We go to the hole. They supposed to be sending us out to somewhere else, and I ended up going to Old Colony and doing some time at Old Colony. A few of my formative years was at OCC, which I loved.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Talk to me about
cool,
what you made you by standing up for the what was going.
CO slapped homie, and when he slapped homie, we was on our way through the doors to go to chow hall, and we doubled back because we realized we had to help homie a bit after he had got hands put on him and a whole bunch of other COs. We was just basically intervening so it didn't get out of hand and they didn't jump homie. And I don't even remember what the hell happened in that fiasco.
No doubt. So now you say Old Colony, that's one of your more formative years in there. Talk to me. Talk to me a little bit about Old Colony. I've never been there. How's it set up? You got 2 tiers, 3 tiers, like
OCC's.
Give me the structure.
OCC's. Old Colony's lit. Everything's inside in units.
Okay.
So everything's inside the building, bro. It's like
feed-in blocks type, or you got
can feed. No, they got a chow hall, but you go up the ramp inside. Everything's inside. You don't got to go outside.
Like Concord, you
except
have to
for
cut
outside. Yeah, you're inside of everything, inside of OCC. Plus, it's a level 5. It's the only level 5. Shirley Max and Walpole's level 6. At the time, so when you're coming down, generally you gotta go to OCC.
It's like a step down.
So it's all the stand-up guys that's at OCC. It's like was the illest, most principal rich because, you're coming from the max, but you ain't make it to the medium yet. So individuals still got that edge about them, but it's still a high level of respect and in order that kept everybody in place. It's smooth. You feel me? At the time, so Old Colony. That's where I started doing a lot of self-searching, coming into a lot of myself, tapping with a lot of my mens. I began building, became a little bit more knowledge of self-conscious, started traveling, learning a whole bunch of things, became involved with a lot of the programming, studied the fuck out of myself, taught my bros, we taught each other, we learned law, helped individuals learn. A lot of the individuals you see coming home now, it's because they was around individuals like us, who was brave enough to learn the law and learn things on our own. That gave a lot of individuals inspiration to study their cases, to be brave enough to flip their cases. So Old Colony was a so to speak launch pad for like a lot of the stuff that you see in mass deals in the streets regarding individuals coming home from the Mass Department of Corrections.
Yeah, and how important was that for y'all to do that yourself? Because they're not gonna push it on you to try to better yourself. Like, how important was that for y'all to do it together?
They call prison rehabilitative, but there's nothing that they do for you. So the chosen choose themselves. The individuals that are coming home are individuals that chose to fight the law, to go vigorously instead of going to the gym or play cards or whatever, lift weights or play around in the yard or whatever every day. They chose to take that little brown briefcase under their arm and head to the law library. If you didn't do it for yourself, all them individuals who got life bids, that's home after 22, 47, 27, 23, 21, 19, 28, 29, 32 years. Shout out to all our brothers who's home. If they didn't take the responsibility on their own self, they would not be home. Ain't nobody do that for them. They did that for their self. Shout out to them for fighting for their life. And no disrespect to the other individuals, but y'all better follow suit. Because ain't nobody doing it for you. You're going to have to fight for yourself to make it back to freedom if it's that important. All that lollygagging, that's for the birds. You got to study what you want to be, how you want to be, and then move into that. So shout out to all our brothers that done freed themselves. Flipped cases, I know brothers that done flip death sentences into life bids. Long live my big bro Denny Zulu Kamal, my big bro Raymond Gaines, Paps, home from 47 years. A whole bunch of my other brothers as well did a whole bunch of time. Salute to all of those who held their head and stayed principle rich and kept on and keep on keeping on. Shout out to my brother Sean Ellis, Joseph Bennett, Stephen Pina, all of those brothers doing the work, out here grinding, many more. The brother Mac Hudson, many brothers came home from behind the wall fighting for their own life, y'all. Shout out to them. Nobody did it for them. In the movie Hurricane, I seen a whole bunch of people, Ezra and all of them, come save them. We striving to work home to get our brother Fu Quan home now. Free Fu Quan now. Yep. That brother helped so many individuals while we were at Old Colony Correctional Center free their self, to get the momentum, to get the giving them the confidence, giving them the know-how to be able to flip their own case and come home. All of them brothers are home. Bro still bagged because they understand the power that man got. They understand when you a spark like that, you the change that people want to see, and you inspire people. People don't really want you to win when you the liberator of the people, and they've been striving to oppress people, and you've been freeing
blinded, people. You know, they don't want you to see.
Man.
You know what's really going on out there. So you seem like you utilize your time. Everything you did seemed to be at least somewhat towards bettering yourself, bettering your situation, whatever that may be. Were you the type? Did you play cards much? Were you getting caught up in the gambling? Did you do?
Bro, I didn't learn
sport. I know you said you balled back in high school and stuff like that. So is that some of the things
that was
you
one
took
of my greatest pastimes.
I always say that playing ball,
definitely
bro.
played basketball. More
I always
organized.
say how it's like one of the freest moments. In there, bro.
Basketball has always been my first love, and it was freeing to me in there. But I still didn't overdo it. I bust a whole bunch of people's asses on the basketball court. How they say, pause. You hear me? I put in a lot of work on the basketball court, but I put in far much more work in working on knowledge of self and studying myself and setting myself up for the purpose I wanted to express when I got home. I played cards in moderation. Shout out to Long Live my brother Cheese. Taught me how to play poker while I was behind the wall. But that was in my later years. I would just mostly exercise, study, building, doing programs. The main program that I stayed involved with was a program called Project Youth. Okay. That went out and engaged with the youth regularly. So that was a large part of my bid, bro. What I do with the youth and teaching them from my experience was something that I formed for all of my years doing time. So I've been on this. When niggas was playing cards and joking and making homebrew, and all these niggas know that I was doing this same thing. So when I go and say I've been doing this 25 years, 23 years, all of this, there's plenty of individuals who can testify and bear witness that I've been on this and persevering the whole time while niggas is playing. I ain't playing. My TV was under the bed. We was studying. We was paying attention. I was asking questions. That's why I run my mouth so much, because I paid attention for so long. Yeah, so shout out to OCC and all the individuals that was there that got to tap in and change their lives while we were at that incubator stage.
How important do you think like working out was and getting your body right in there? Do you think there's a correlation between the body and the mind? Because for me, it really helped me. Having that something to look forward to at night or whatever was big for me in there, you know, kind of something to look forward to. And it just brought up like to a higher level of consciousness, or you know, you feel better. Right. Like you feel like you agree with that?
Health is wealth. I've always been health conscious. I was always one who was in exercise in some way. When I was striving to learn how to dunk on the streets, I was doing leg presses. So these things was important. When I watched them in a movie young, I was like, yeah, I'll be the one doing push-ups. So my older cousin came home, and I remember us going to the park one day, and I had a green Vega, and I had my puppy, and he's like, yo, come on with me to the park real quick. He started getting pull-ups on the bar. He did time in New York. He started getting on the pull-up bar, busting pull-ups. I got on that pull-up bar. I could do like one pull-up, bro. I lit up that green leaf. I'm like, I'll watch you. I'm playing with the puppy in the park. Man, about 1 year later, I was doing time and finding out the importance of pull-ups, push-ups, dips, in the lifestyle, and it became a routine for me throughout my whole bid. And I put many people on to working out to ascend and achieve freedom from accessing it through your physical body as well as your mental and your spiritual and emotional development was also important. All of those is like 4 chambers that had to be getting fed to stay in balance with self.
Right. Okay.
That's how I seen it.
I agree with that, man. Super important. Super important. I think for everybody, you in jail, out of jail, man, you gotta get your body right. This is the vessel that, you know, for our soul, you know, and we gotta treat it right. The body is the temple. They say that for a reason, you know.
And in the lifestyle that, you know, we live, where we come up, anybody could be ready to test you. You gotta stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready. All this shit I talk, all this coming from the city block I came from and all that, I would have to stand up on something at any time. I gotta be ready. I had to be physically ready. I was a little younger than a lot of individuals, so yeah, the knife was cool, but I also had to have my body chiseled. I wasn't only on the floor being no sucker sharpening a knife and gonna rely on a gun behind the wall. It wasn't something that I did on the street, so the physicality was very important. Staying chiseled in all ways, man, is extremely important in my life, all aspects of self.
I mean, not even gonna lie, I think sometimes it may deter people just seeing, like, I don't know if I want that dude be doing burpees every day. Like, I don't know if that's somebody, and you could kind, you know, not that that's why dudes was doing it, but yeah, and I always prided myself on like the wind, right? Because I wasn't like even to basketball, I'm not the biggest dude, I'm not the best shooter, but I tell you what, I'm gonna give 100%. I know you going up for that rebound. I'm coming. They're like, where did you come from, bro?
Right.
Like, I'm that dude. Like, where did this dude even come from? You was at the 3-point line and you grabbing the rebound. You know what I mean?
We got a different competitiveness coming from Boston.
Yeah. Oh, that's
in the first place. You feel me? So we coming from the home of Boston, a home of basketball. Springfield's the home of basketball. It's in the state of Massachusetts. Boston is the capital of the state of Massachusetts. So we're the home of basketball. You know what I mean? So with that being said, we take pride in that sport, bro. So what you're saying about that, you know, Bostonians is just different on the basketball court. Like, even if you don't play ball in your neighborhood, you still had to be straight in playing ball. Like, that's the primary sport in our city.
Facts.
And Cambridge.
It's
not, Cambridge ain't separate. Cambridge is only over the bridge, y'all, just to be clear. Cambridge is 2 minutes, 3 minutes over a bridge from where I'm from in the south end of Boston. It's just a bridge that divides us, and we're far less divided and tapping in with the people than it seems of the city names. So I just want to make sure I make that clear. I've been coming out to Cambridge since I was a little boy.
What I think that is too is Boston was like some of the earliest settlers, right? Massachusetts. So it's like politically these lines were drawn earlier. But now like if you take New York and the size of New York and extend it out the greater Boston area, Cambridge is definitely included in that. Or I mean, it might even go I don't even know how far north it would go, man. I don't know.
New York would be here if you was going by how big Texas or California is.
Oh, yeah, that's true, too. Those states out there.
Yeah, bro.
Huge.
The whole New England would be within California or Texas,
I think everything's so small out here because we was the first. So they're like, oh, those guys from that side of the river. You know what I'm saying?
So now you understand what I spoke about in the beginning, the divided state of all them city streets in Boston and projects being in opposition because we're so small in such a small city. We're versus everybody. We got like the Napoleon complex. Boston's like a Napoleon complex. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a Popeye the Sailor Man type of, I'll take him on, I'll take him on type of.
But even as small as it is population-wise, like it's big, like historically, it's big influence-wise, right? You know, we got this Boston Celtics, political, you had JFK and everybody coming out. George Washington was, I mean, that's way back, but you know what I mean? It's big as far as influence.
Martin Luther King, Malcolm X.
I just think all these other cities got bigger because this country got bigger. More people were coming over here. This is like the foundation. Everything's here. I mean, Philly, the whole, you know how it is.
Foundation of Boston police. Boston firefighters, Boston public transportation. These are first in the nation, bro.
Harvard, I think, was the first university. Revere Beach was the first public beach in the country.
Bro, this is, so we just show you right there how much history we have, and it's showing you an energy that this place has that has nothing to do with us. We just happen to be from this place, so we carry that same energy.
It's passed down generationally.
Yeah.
And all of that for sure.
That's why they lock us out of all the sports. They don't want Boston when a Boston artist.
Yeah.
They lock them down
Right.
because the energy is gonna take over. And that's for all of y'all. Niggas ain't nicer than us up here. Massachusetts artists is beating you all, and once we come together, you'll all see it. If we was to come together like Texas or some down south states.
Yeah, and I'm not even gonna lie, even coming up in Cambridge back in the day, we had groups like the Schizophrenics. We had, all sorts of dudes. KT,
Skids was bananas.
MBS, Millie's, GIs, Chief
Right.
C, Certified Gs, and these are local dudes. These are dudes that I know too,
On
and I'm like,
fire.
these dudes are nicer than. I'm listening to these dudes more than I'm
fire.
listening to regular CDs in the industry at the time. I'm not
fire.
even gonna lie, and that's what's great about
On
now the
fire.
internet. You
Right.
can see that. Before I had to get it at the shop. Term is another one.
What's his man's name?
Static Selector.
Ed Rock.
Oh yeah, Ed Slane, Ed OG. I mean, then that's not
Dre
even counting
Rob,
Benzino
bro, Dre
and
Rob,
RSO.
Dre Rob was one of the nicest that I heard.
Mm-hmm.
Dre Robinson, these individuals from the city, this type of talent, bro. My bro Sean Hines,
Mm-hmm.
my little bro tagging them from Loose Notes.
Mm.
These artists were, bro.
And not even to mention your homie too, bro. Jada S.
Yeah,
Brushed them
Snizza.
Timbs off, hoodies out
Snizza.
the closet.
Snizza was cleaning up universally. He can't even be held down locally. Snizza been cleaning up all across the U.S. with people and breaking some names that individuals did not know at all. I remember being behind the wall, man, and coming out 1 a.m. and individuals was listening to the launch pad the night before, and we was in the chow hall, and I'm sitting at the table with some individuals, and they was like, yo, yeah, all that music was cool, but that Jada S song, and I just broke my neck. Like, they're talking about my brother. Like, it was like it was a game on me, but they were being sincere, and like, damn, they feel like I do about my bro, because when it's your bro, you feel like you biased, but Jada S that's my brother.
Right.
That's my brother. It's totally different. That guy has done more for me
biasness,
than a lot of people in the world. That's my brother. You understand?
No, I feel the same way. Like, and it is the bias. Even with Millie's, when he's rapping about certain, I'm like, these are dudes I was locked up. You know what I mean? I'm in this, like, you know what I mean? I'm entrenched in it.
Right.
It's like I know these people. I know the situation sometimes they be talking about. So like you said, there's that biasness. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they from your, so that's your guy that you know. That was
Right.
He was definitely one of them dudes that like we had that 88.9 at night. Which I think they don't do no more.
Yeah,
but
shout
there
out
was
to the
something,
whole greater, shout out to the whole greater good. Shout out to my brother Spectimus. Shout out to my cousin Amadeus, Touch Lord, the whole greater good, man. That's the family right there,
Yeah, so, be on the lookout. Boston coming up. Unfortunately for them dudes, G. Fredo and 7981 Cal, they was just on their way. They came up so fast, too, and then they got hit with that RICO thing. But,
Yeah, I mean, there's some individuals that's certified in the game, and they're going to have to make their bet and go through it, too, just the same way as I said I was ill. Don't matter if they rapping. I just told you we from a cold city. When you from a city like the Bean, you're going to show and prove. They're going to stand on their feet. They're going to handle their bid. They're going to come home. It ain't going to change. They still who they is. So shout out to them kids for being who they is, making such noise and standing on the principles that they do, man. I wish them success, too.
Boston, from back in the day, you had the armor car thing going on, right? Like Boston was getting it. Like we talked about the crack. We talked about the crack era, but if you think pre-crack era, Walpole was one of the most dangerous prisons in the country.
Yeah.
It wasn't until crack blow up where all these other cities, their jail started going up.
Yeah,
Boston kind of always.
Everybody know that.
Everybody from here know that, but this YouTube people who may not know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Before the crash, at least me looking at it, lining it up with the time, the era, the 70s, everything, they was wilding. Like they held the place hostage. They had a big riot, all of that. And it's considered one of the top 4 or 5. But then the crack era hit, and then everywhere started blowing up, and it kind of fell back from that.
Right.
And But anyway, it's that carryover though.
Right.
We're still the generation we still have. Right. These are our parents and our uncles and like you're singing. Like it's not too far removed.
My mother's big brother, my uncle. Shout out to my uncle Donald. Used to go by Fudgy back then. I'm visiting at an early age, visiting my uncle. Some of these men and OGs, once I got back with them, once I was now 20, 21 years old, had remembered me since I was young. So the trickle over is real.
Right.
They stood up for me just like I was my uncle. So coming in there, getting open arms like that behind the wall at that time lets you know, like, we hold a tight car, and Boston loves real big. It might be fake on the streets, but once we get behind the wall and team up, it's nothing like a unity of individuals that come from the state of Mass once we tie. And no matter where you're from, it don't matter if you was from Lynn, don't matter if you was from Lowell, don't matter if you was from Lawrence, Springfield, Worcester, Boston, Cambridge, all areas, they was all tied in once they was behind the wall. You was thorough, we tapped in. It didn't matter where you was from, know what I mean?
Yep, no, that's facts. That's facts. Real recognize real, and you just
anywhere.
You in a bad situation, and you there together. You know, you gotta make the most of it. Like, it's not always like, sometimes this can be a team sport, bro.
Right.
Life is a team sport. We don't always gotta be beefing and stuff like that. You get more done together than apart, bro.
Hey, shout out to today's first day of Kwanzaa.
Okay.
Being the principle of Umoja, which stands for unity. So the unity that we was able to learn behind the wall. Once we was put in that tight situation and you in a cell with somebody and y'all don't got people to lean on, you got to come together and bring that soup together, and he got the rice and you might got a mackerel and you might have a fish steak. And when we put that all together, that's the unity that we use to be able to come together. I wish that we would apply it more on the streets and begin to come together like we do behind the wall, but it's like we all get forgetful as soon as we get our liberty. Soon as we get our physical freedom, we stop teaming up, and all individuals that used to share soups and rice with, all of a sudden they say, nah, this is mine. And bro, I got this going on. And you're like, damn, I thought we like bonded. We did mad years together, and you still on that selfish shit. That's awkward.
I love that analogy, bro. That analogy, like, you over there with your mackerel, he got the rice, I got a soup, he got a squeezed cheese, right? You got a fucking squeezed cheese by yourself. That ain't shit, bro, right? What are you gonna do? You gonna suck all the fucking bag? But like, we come together now, we got this beautiful meal.
A meal.
And your skill, you know, and I love that analogy, bro.
Because we each value both's ingredients. I know that this rice don't hold, it ain't gonna be busting with them beans unless we have that squeezed cheese and that pickle. So now I know your value.
Right.
Whereas out here, we can't see the value because it's become camouflage to everybody just says, he don't got that amount of money. He don't got that. Well, you didn't have that amount of visits, and he didn't have that amount of phone calls, and he didn't have that amount of green peppers that we get from the chow hall, but we knew homie that got the job in the kitchen, we need him to get those peppers.
Right, oatmeal, whatever it may be.
Yeah, so we saw the unity because we saw each other's value. And if we could get back to seeing each other's values out here, then we know we can thrive, bro, because we seen it.
The whole, and I love this expression, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts separately, right? If you
all
add up,
equals.
like you said, your squeezed
All
cheese,
parts
your mackerel, you
equal
still
the
got a little something.
whole.
Sure, you could eat that bag of mackerel yourself, but
Go ahead.
Put it in the mix with everybody. Now we kings, right?
Yeah, look, we eat. We can even bust a meal. We got a meal for him over here.
Right.
We got too
bro
much
who
in
ain't
our
got
bowls.
nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
He coming on
facts.
the unit. We just dropping off a bowl and no words here. Just homie just came in the unit. You might have seen him before when you was in the county or something. You seen him upstate. You know he ain't doing so well. His people don't support him as much, but he used to be on his joint when he was outside. He was getting to it. Man, here, drop homie off a bowl and let him know it's love. And I've been in that situation. Niggas just overlooking me
tough.
before.
Yo, no lie, bro. Not a lot of people on the streets, man, like free. Y'all ain't never went like to bed hungry, bro.
Right.
Y'all ain't never fucking stuck that fork in the soup packet, bro, because you hungry. You ate the fucking Tums, bro. Like, you ain't never ate Tums. You ain't never ate the seasoning packet from the ramen. Your stomach growling. Like, that's not a normal thing, but that'll really train you, bro.
Right. In the max, they giving you rice and soups, bro, but there's no boilers. The pots ain't boiling, so what you gonna do? You up here holding on to the water, waiting for it to get hot in the max, bro. So you cooking the soup and the rice, bro, in the bowl, bro, in the bowl with the regular water.
Don't even get all the rice. Don't even cook all the way. 100%,
yeah, man.
Like that.
You getting a whole bunch of tuna fish and peanut butter and jelly when you start to learn those ropes, man. You know what I mean? Peanut butter and jelly every day. You get militant minded, man. Peanut butter and jelly. Tuna
you start
fish,
to appreciate the
jelly,
stuff you took
fish.
for granted.
Yeah,
you know,
word is
for
born.
sure.
Word
That
is born.
PB&J, people will slam it all day on this. Oh, that's whatever, man. But it's like, man, when you hungry, that's life, man. That is so good. It's the most delicious thing you've ever had.
Hey, coming from where I'm from, that's a privilege. Peanut butter and jelly is a privilege. That's some of our favorite meals, still to this day.
Yeah, and I'm always I'm like that. I came from that household that like that Friday household where we got the peanut butter, but we don't got the we got the peanut butter and the bread. We don't got the jelly. We got the peanut butter and the jelly. We ain't got the damn bread,
no
bro.
complimentary pots.
Yeah. It was like it never lined up. I don't know. Shout out to my mom. She did the best she could, but it was just that's how it was sometimes, man.
Word is born. Shout out to the parents that went super hard to be able to let us think that we wasn't going through it.
Yeah, and remember that, man, for these youngins, when you do all this stupid stuff and you getting caught up, you going through it, but you putting people you love through dragging them through the mud, man. You putting them through stuff they probably don't deserve, and that's on you. And that's what I had to own. Like, I did this to my mother. I divided because I was selfish, because I wanted to get the bag and not work. I wanted to sell drugs, get the fast money, or do this, do that. And now look at me. I'm over here, the math don't math, right? I'm over here, I did 3.5 years, but those, whatever the couple ounces, like, you break that up within a couple years, I'd have made much more making minimum wage, working 8 hours a day. And not that, that's for everybody. It's not, but it's just like, sometimes you got to think of the big picture, yo. So remember, if you out there messing around, just like, you're not the only one you're affected, so don't be selfish. Don't be selfish, bro.
Hey, that's extremely important. I think we can raise the consciousness up about individuals understanding that you're not living for yourself. You represent your family, you represent your tribe, you represent the household you coming from and your last name. So how you carrying yourself out there, it's like every decision you make, you got to think about this effects, which y'all heard me talk about my support system. My people felt, indebted to me to be able to help me taking those long trips on the visits, or taking that time to write out those long ass letters, or staying on the phone call with me all the time, or sending their money so that I could be able to eat or get a special holiday package or some shit. All that was my people had to do that. I couldn't use none of my own money. I didn't have no bread. So my people took care of me. My support system, those that loved me, took care of that. So be mindful that you are harming and affecting way more people than yourself. And when you start thinking in a sense of all the people that, considering your whole tribe and all of that, your choices are much more wiser in the future.
You think you this ill hustler, but you turn into a bill, bro. You a bill for your parents now, bro.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you real good hustler.
Wow.
You costing your family money, bro.
Wow.
You're supposed to provide for your family.
Wow.
You're supposed to take it to the next level.
Wow.
You're a bill now, bro.
Wow.
And shout out to the struggle in the fight that we just won here in Massachusetts to get the free phone calls.
Hey,
started December 1st.
Shout out to those fighting out here in the bean against all of these unjust laws and all of that. Know what I mean?
So talk to me more, like, we walking through the timeline. We veering off a little bit, but it's good because it's natural. It's a good convo. Yeah, Old Colony. Do you end up wrapping up from there, or did you make the minimum move?
From OCC, I ended up going down to Shirley Medium. They basically forced me out the building. I went to Shirley Medium. I paroled out from Shirley Medium. After a couple of violations on the street, I ended up.
Just real quick before you get into that, how long were you in before you got out on the parole?
So I had an 8.5 to 15. I was capable of seeing parole at 8.5. I ended up getting paroled out at about 9, and that was when I paroled out from Shirley at about 9 years. I stayed home for 20-something months. Had a baby girl. Then I got violated for some bullshit, for nothing, that I was supposed to be back behind the wall for. The pain of that was crazy, having a new baby girl along with my oldest baby girl now. She was almost about to be 10 years old.
Talk about that. Where's that? Because this is the stuff these people need to know, man. Like, this is, you going through the stuff, like, it doesn't just affect you. Was there a lot of, like, guilt associated with that? We going away as a father? I'm not a father, so I don't know, and I always like to get that perspective.
Yeah, I mean,
or is it something you try to block out while you're in there? It's like seems like a fine line to walk, bro. Like,
yeah, for me it was beautiful because I didn't get to turn off those emotions like the whole time I'm interacting with my children, all of my bid. So the interaction with them helped me a lot.
Okay.
Even though it was a little hurtful being away from my baby girls now that I had been out on the streets with them a little bit. It was hurtful. However, it only strengthened me to be able to see that things could happen and not to get comfortable out on the streets because I was still doing a bid.
Right.
When you come home on parole, you're still on paper. That's a contract.
Those days count towards your bid, so you bidding. Yeah.
So you're still doing a bid. So I was violated. I ended up coming home again, and they violated me again. I got violated for just, I think, being in a car with my brother, who I was on the same lease with, getting paroled to my mom's house. So it was.
Now, was that because associating with a felon? Was that because, or was it like a pullover?
He ain't never even
situation?
been a felon. He just like, man, listen, these people do what they want to do, bro.
Damn.
With they joint and they playing with your life and they don't understand how it's something so serious to you, but you're just a number. You're just a number and you're just money to them. So they ain't give a fuck about my baby girls and how they were being affected. They care about every time they pull me back behind the wall, they get a certain amount of money. And that's what we need to understand and make sure that we stress that. You're just a number. You're just an amount to them. So it's on you to be responsible and accountable for thinking about your family and how it's going to affect them in the long run. So we live and we learn. You know what I mean?
It's a business, and you'd rather be out here building towards your business than in there making somebody else rich.
Woo! Bars.
You know what I'm saying?
Family business again. We're right back to
what, especially with the privatization of prisons and all that, which just to me just seems morally corrupt and just come from a bad place. Like just the thought of it, I don't know. To me, it's just something that don't sit right with me, profiting off of that, because then it's like a cause and effect. Because now, okay, now more people locked up, the more money I get. Okay, now maybe we could just do a little bit, tweak the law a little bit, or be a little dirty and fill these places up. It just has a trickle down effect all the way to the street, and now people are able to stop and frisk for no reason, or whatever it may be. There's always that cause and effect.
Yeah.
Is that when we met? You went back on that probation violation?
Yeah. Yep. I was on a parole violation, and that's when they sent me to Concord, and that's when I think I was that was the second violation. My baby girl was about 2 years old. That was 2009. She was about 1.5, almost 2, and my son was just about to be born in 2010. So I remember awaiting him being born while we were together. So it was like that time, the beginning of 2010, the end of 2009.
Yeah. Did you come right to Concord, or did you have to go through classification, or was it Concord still class? Did you go through Walpole?
I went to Walpole, and then they sent me I got sent to Concord after Walpole.
Okay.
That was
what was like the mentality there? Because I feel like when you get to classification joints, it's a little different. It's more like a county vibe carryover though, but then there's not dudes there that been there. Like you got your workers, I guess, but it's not that mentality.
That was all
and it was
like
new.
That was back on the
county
violation.
Overflow.
It was like being back in the county when I was that young, and all the individuals that I was around were young at that age. So I formed a young team of my young homies that I was able to build with and teach them and train them in the ropes that I had already gone through. So that was fun, but it definitely had the county feel of, everything went, and I wasn't used to that because I had done my time at the Max and Norfolk and Shirley and OCC. Yeah. So the structure was a little bit more strict in those settings. So now on the violation, a little later in my bid, I'm like, these dudes is playing around. It was like a whole joke, but I got to bond with a lot of my young G's at that time. A few of them's no longer here. Yep. Long live them, and I'm appreciative for those violations. Now that hindsight's 2020, I can look back and see that I would have never had some of this time with some of them individuals that I was in the cell with, no longer living. Like one of my younger brothers from Springfield, Q. A lot of individuals knew Jaquan. Long live Jaquan. Had my son's name tattooed on him because we was in the cell together when my baby was born. Yeah. Like these is things
such a
you
talented
can never get rid of.
young man too, man. Basketball. I guess they still talking about bro.
Man, they always gonna talk about him. They always gonna talk about bro. Bro's a legend, regardless if people dislike you. in the street world or all that, the classic truth of who you are is always going to be recognized by those individuals in your physical absence. So individuals that couldn't celebrate you so much while you was physically here, they still going to give you your props when you're gone. They don't got no smoke with you when you're gone. I mean, so yeah, long live Jaquan, man, little bro. I wish, you know, some of the decisions he made and things that he got tied up in while on the streets were a little bit more lucrative to his family, but bro was able to have a young son before he returned to the essence, man. Yeah. Shout out to his baby. Shout out my little bro, Gunner. Got killed by the police out in Woonsocket. Another one that I was with, shout out my little bro, Matic. I got to know at that time, you know, he's doing time for some crimes that he had on during an escape, so to speak, from Shirley Medium some years ago. Man, a lot of young brothers that I met at that time that I would have never knew that I got to bond with and spend some time with. So I'm super appreciative of all the people that I met in my travels.
And then eventually me and you, we meet, we start. What was it that drew you? Because I feel like you came up to me and wanted to get down with the workout thing, and it's not really, you know how it is. It's not super crazy, Massachusetts, the racially, you know what I mean. But not every black dude talks to, you know, white dudes, and vice versa. You know what I mean. So how were you always like that anyway?
At that time, you got to know I'm on year 11 in my bid, so I had already bonded with universal individuals. So that veils had already been lifted as far as that white-black shit. I had been in units and understood thorough was thorough. Had did time with mob dudes that I rock with more than some so-called black dudes from my town. Like real was real, and I was bonded like that. So one of the things that I remember with you is I had put mad people on the different workouts throughout the years. Those is usually upper body workouts, pull-ups, push-ups, dips, lifting weights, bench, over the head, all of that type of stuff. What inspired me to tap in with you was I saw you doing body weight leg workout. I'm like, bro, what's up with that? Let me get with you. Bro, that leg workout? I done almost broke individuals. Almost everybody who I ever took through some of the workouts that you put me on to from that leg workout, almost everybody taps out, bro. Like I was almost tapping it out. Like leg workouts, y'all, was totally different. Like burpees, squats. Like we doing walk-in lunges. We doing the jump over side to side.
Jumping over the trash can, bro.
Bro got us on this. We in the stairs in the unit. I remember doing the step ups, wanting to throw up, bro. You just got to do all you got to do is step up now. After you did all of that, it was so hard to just do those step ups. Jumping over like a little water bottle. I remember we was doing the over, back and forth, back over, then do the lunges, and then do the jumping twist squats.
Oh, yep.
Bro, we did that workout outside and inside, bro. I remember them workouts like, and that always stayed with me. So even
100 straight body weight squats.
After us being separated, I'm asking people, I'm like, yo, who know this white boy Bobby Lucas from East Cambridge? I'm asking everybody, and dude's like, nah, I don't know. I'm like, how the fuck y'all don't know Bobby? That's my dog. Yo, remember we was at? Nobody's like, then I remember Snizza being like, yo, you know, homeboy Bobby, whatever, he tapped. I'm like, oh, that's my dog. And
was this when, now, was you still in at this point when you tapped in with Snizza?
I think Snizza wrote me a letter and told me, or came on a visit. Bro visit me. I speak to him on the phone. He answered the phone and calls. So I can't remember the phone.
But you was inside though.
But I think I was behind the wall still. Yeah, I think I was.
So all right, so I'll end up like I said, small state, but I wrapped up 2011. Talk to me about your journey after that, man. You in Concord now. What happened?
So shortly after that, I think I wrapped up in 2013.
Okay.
But I ended up going down to the minimum. Like I was at like Boston State and Concord Farm for like 2012. So those was good rides. I had never seen.
Right, you did a whole state bit before this first time even.
Yo, the minimum life, like being able to go to work, and you know, I had already been in the system, so I understood like how to move. So by the time I get to Boston State, individuals like, yo, bro, it's gonna take this long, nigga. I'm like, for you, like you don't know how smart I am. Like, I'm out of the building within 2 weeks, while everybody's taking a month and a half to get to somewhere to go. I'm going to a job program in Dorchester, bro, every single day from 9 to 5. Like I'm out all day, coming back late at night, while individuals is able to go out for like an hour, 2 hours to look for jobs. I'm at a job training program the entire day, bro. So like, that was sweet. You know, I'm sliding off.
Do you think that's a good way to reintegrate people into society, making all the steps, hit the minimum, hit the pre-release, as opposed to just letting you out from the max or whatever?
Nah, they should have been integrating individuals to be able to learn to get to working, to learn to get to their purpose, to learn how to travel, and just all of those things is a natural reacclimation that they should have to life. Cold turkey going from the max to the streets, like you ain't
I've seen people go from DDU to the streets, bro.
The cars look the cars look so small because you're looking out those windows. By the time you get close to the car, bro, you be like, cars are this big?
right.
Yo, it's crazy. That's how it be when you be up in the mountains,
just
boy.
Visually stimulating things. Like, yo, you know what was one of the weird things from like me was like being in the car and putting my hand out the window and feeling that wind. Like stupid stuff that you can't really do. Submerging my body in a body of water, even my head or something like that. You know what I mean? Things, but it's like,
things
yo, I haven't did this for years, bro.
Right.
It's such, bro,
Yo,
like
bro,
literally on a bicycle,
right,
I'm going downhill, bro, and like tears, bro. Just the you know what I mean? And I'm not even trying to like,
that's
whatever.
real.
It is what it is.
No,
bro.
those are
like,
the real emotions.
But it's like,
that's the
wow,
type of things we go through.
And then I think about the people we left behind too, and it's like that bittersweet, you know?
Oh, my. Oh, bro, I was crying as I was leaving. Hold on, let me just touch on that point. You said submerging your whole body in the water. Yo, bro, how about they had me on with I had the bracelet on, and I didn't know that I could get in the pool. So I was like, I was scared to touch the water because I got this ankle monitor on. Bro, then I finally did it and realized nothing happened. I mean, so aligned with that, talking about the submerged in water, bro, I'm leaving as I'm drenched, crying the last days that I remember paroling out from Shirley, some of the brothers that I had did so much time with, that I had become so tight with. Bro, I felt like I was betraying them just because I was paroling out. When I was leaving,
survivor's guilt type of deal.
Since I had such a long bid, individuals thought that I was doing a life bid like them. So some people found out on the day that I was leaving, like, damn, bro's not a lifer. Like, because in Massachusetts, you know what I mean? I had 15 years. In Massachusetts, second degree life is 15 to life. You can see parole at 15. But first degree is natural life in Massachusetts. So most of those individuals who had 15 years, I got the same amount of time as them.
Right.
You feel me? So everybody under us, it looks different. But when you've been doing a 15-year bid with somebody, you assume that they had the same thing as you. So a lot of people is crying like, bro's leaving and I'm not leaving. Like, he's leaving me. And I could see it in their eyes, like, and I felt their pain. And I left all my possessions.
And you're the type of dude where you taking your energy with you, bro. You know how it is when certain people leave. It's like the block is different. It's like almost gets into this depressed state, bro. I can only, you know, do you relate to that? Or am I the only one that thinks that, bro? Okay.
Nah,
like certain people leave that you like, and then it's different now.
It could be a teacher that you liked out of school. That substitute teacher don't got the same energy as that teacher that you fuck with.
Right.
You like, damn, every day I be talking trash about this teacher, but let them tell you that teacher, something happened to him 2 days. All of a sudden you feel the energy. You're like, damn, this ain't the same. You substitute teacher, you let us do whatever. He was on our back, but at least we felt the structure and we felt loved. And that's the beautiful thing about sometimes that structure is like, that was the lean on and that was the love that we knew from the individuals that we bonded with and got comfortable with in such trying times that to leave them is like, damn, I'm being a sucker, bro. You know what I mean?
But then we gotta do it. We gotta do it for those who can't and make the best of it and the most of this life while we can out here, man. With their memory,
through us.
with that memory and all of that, bro.
So we do this. We do this for all of those individuals still behind the wall, which y'all see is born out right now. The stories we're humanizing and what we're traveling through as we're expressing right now, this is to bring to life for all those individuals we still got behind the wall that have been unable to do this, but they intend to do this. And if they were, once they're given a chance, they're going to be doing this and sharing their stories and adding on to humanity too.
Yeah, people coming out and doing great things. And I just thought it was like, man, this needs to be talked about more, bro.
Right.
Say you had the, the privilege to go in say Concord right now, right? Medium security, re-entry program they do.
Mm-hmm.
You was able to speak. What are some of the things you think you would touch on to brothers about to come home?
Oh, I've done it. Shout out to my brother.
So shout out
to my brother Supreme Hassan, man. Shout out to my brother Diamond. When I went back behind the wall, I went to Shirley, and my brother Supreme was still there, and that's an individual that helped with my development in my earlier years of knowledge of self. So I shout Preem out big time. So I was blessed with the chance of going back to Shirley, bro, and doing some restorative justice circling with my bro that had taught me, my big bro.
Wow.
So
Full
the
circle,
feeling,
life.
once I came on the camp, bro, I came on the camp, I'm like, yo, I'm literally coming in this way. Like the feeling was inexplainable, a dream come true. And I remember, I'll just go into a couple of the things I touched on. I touched on my integration back into the streets. I touched on repairing some harm. I touched on the ripple effect, how our decisions sometimes affect more people than just ourselves. I touched on having that purpose and preparing for that day that you came home. Those are some of the things that I touched on when I went back behind the wall. But I just share with you, as I was leaving out of that day, one of the officers, one of the COs who had been my block officer while I was at Shirley in F1, the shift had changed while I was in there. So while I was leaving out, you know, I'm getting ready to come out to get my ID. And before I go to reach for my ID, I hear my name being called in this familiar voice. Tavares! And I'm like, oh my, Carmen's aggravating ass. Carmen was the block officer, Rodriguez in the block. But Carmen never seemed to like me when I was behind the wall, but she had seemed to be so proud of me now that I was on the other side. And sometimes, that's one of the things I want to say, sometimes we get to see that side of those COs, man, that's inhumane and, you know, them just doing a job and we're so mad at them. Then we get the opportunity to get back to our real life, man, and all you see is the humanness of that individual as you see them on this side. You don't think of all the made up things in your mind you said you was going to do to hurt the COs and do all of that to pay them back. All of that fucking regret shit and all of that payback stuff goes out the window as you now have a appreciation for your true life. So shout out to Carmen, man, showing me love. Shout out to all the COs who just do their job and are striving to make it as best as they know. Shout out to all shout out to all the COs that left the doors open for some individuals so they wasn't locked down while they was in the max, while they was on the basketball court and was able to get out at times where other individuals wasn't out of their cell because they saw that specialness in them and there wasn't no principles traded for that free time. Shout out to those dope COs.
So you end up wrapping up from the pre-release.
Yeah.
Is that what happened? And then you get out. Is this still like you wrapped it?
From
did you get,
OCC,
did you get parole again?
OCC,
Probation?
Man. So I got lugged from Boston State pre-release on a visit, going on one of them going to see a job at Fire and Ice, and I got lugged back behind the wall, went to Concord, and from there I got sent to Old Colony. I think Old Colony minimum.
Okay.
And I think that's where I ended up wrapping up from
OCC.
Or Concord. No, I think I was working at Colonial in Concord Farm. I think I left there and I ended up wrapping up on the streets, doing like a couple months left of parole on the street.
Oh, so you did, and then you wrapped that up.
Yep.
How was that to finally have that behind you? Like the parole, like the bid, you know. Like
so
you said,
I wrapped
you're on
up 2013. Now this is making 10 years, bro, and I'm just getting to really appreciate all of that work that I went in, all of that experience, all those hells I went through to be able to see from the right angle on this side of the bid, and then now, which is it's 25 years later right now, bro. Damn. So you always hear about like, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you. You know, it's been long. Hard work, you know, not looking for any credit, just doing the work and adding value to individuals that I could on the street and not asking for anything. But now's the time that I'm being a little bit more a little more vocal in my ass, seeing that I did all my volunteer years. Now it's the time I'm coming for the ching ching for all of these services that I've been providing for my people through partnerships, through connections, through adding value to people through all of these different faculties. So I'm coming for the support. When y'all see these fundraisers for things that I'm attached to, make sure that you're connected. Make sure you're looking out for boys out of the hood. You know, for real, for real.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I see big things for you. You know, and that was one of the reasons. Like, I ended up reaching out to you. I think you ended up reaching out to me.
We reconnected.
We reconnected. And you were one of the first people that came to my mind just because of your intelligence, your energy, your soul, your heart. Everything's pure. I always felt everything was like pure with you. Yeah, for sure, brothers. Bro. So I'm super proud of you, man. I think there's big things coming. So make sure y'all stay on the lookout, man.
You know that.
Get it a little bit more since you've been out, man. You've been doing the boys out the hood. Like what are the goals with that?
Boys Out of the Hood is a brand. It's more so a brand. It is a partnership. Mentorship. It facilitates different programs and affords different opportunities to different youth. But Boys Out of the Hood more so is me now as Furious Styles and being a father figure in the neighborhood to all of those young individuals to keep them from going to the joint or succumbing to the life of Ricky and Doughboy.
Right.
My son is the paragon of Trey. Me being able to show him the lifestyle when you have a father and the difference. So Boys Out of the Hood really just represents a brand of fatherhood, teaching correct principles to young men in the neighborhood and everything that attaches to young men, be it mothers, be it fathers, be it community. Everything connects through young men. That's just the lens that we speak through. So Boys Out of the Hood is a brand more so than just really a business. It's a lifestyle. It's a culture.
Anything in your mind that you got that's coming up soon that you want to kind of put out there?
So Boys Out of the Hood is partnered with a Saturday program that we have at Northeastern, which is a program that I went to when I was young. Paul Robeson Institute. You can tap in at Concerned Black Men in Massachusetts, Paul Robeson Institute. If you have young men from 3rd grade up to get involved with, that's the primary function of is positive self-development for young men. A lot of sisters don't have men in the household to be able to help with their children, so those supplemental teachings and those principles from real men are extremely important. And if you have children on other weekends that we're not there, we alternate at the South End Technology Center doing coding, 3D printing, and fun type things for the young men that have interest in tech. We striving to teach them how to stay proficient in all measures, in all subjects, in all areas, especially science and math and STEM related things. We're pushing towards getting them more into green tech and teaching them things dealing with green tech in the nowadays too, as well as the 3D printing.
And I saw you were frequenting the boxing gym with some of these. Do you think that's important too, to get the physical side of things in self-defense? Oh yeah, for these young men.
Yeah, one of the main components of Boys Out of the Hood is the physical. So it's overall wellness. So we definitely advocate for them getting some sort of martial arts training or boxing, and boys need young men need to be challenged as young men. They need to be trained right. They need discipline. They need high interaction. So we advocate for that. We don't raise no suckers around here.
I love it. I love it because boys are so full of energy, and we don't have didn't have like the guidance where to focus that energy. And I think what you're doing there is great because young men full of energy. Yeah. And it's like when they don't have an outlet for it, where does it go? The streets probably. So that's dope. Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure dope. So we got a new year coming up, 2024. Talk to me numbers wise.
Right now, what we dealing with going into the 2024 year, one of the things, during the bid that I learned about myself was, numerology was important to me and numbers were important. So the science of numbers has always been important, but during the bid, it became a bit more magnified. So those that know me know I deal with mathematics often. So 2023 being a 7-year, we're closing out of a 7-year, which is spiritual ascension of the body, the collective coming together and for spiritual ascension, what they would call heaven, which is the formation that a lot of us are seeing in a 7-year. As I spoke to about it, it's 25 years since catching my case. In 25 years, 2 + 5 is 7, as we're in a 2023, which adds up to 7-year. Going into 8-year, which symbolizes build, many individuals in the year 2 + 2 + 4 = 8. It's going to be the year that a lot of individuals are able to choose if they're adding value or if they're taking away value. You can see if people are building, adding on, constructing positively, or they're going to be demolishing a weak and wicked foundation. You're going to see a lot of people whose foundation was weak and wicked or not strongly established falling down. People that have their eyes on money and not moving through their purpose. People who have their eyes on having a boss and time. All of those type of things are going to fall by the wayside, and the people that are going to be standing more so in 2024 are the individuals who have been on the same thing and persevered over the years, individuals who have been coming from their heart with their principles, the so to speak black sheep of the family, the individuals who was looked at as outcast and was doing all the different things. Those individuals are being risen to the forefront to shine as the individuals that's on the top of the 8 as opposed to the bottom of the 8. So yeah, the wisdom gonna add on to the cipher, and the wisdom of the culture is gonna be born. That wisdom of the culture being born, being the 24, that's the ways of the natural way of life. Those who have always been tapped onto it, the truth of that is gonna be being shown. So you're gonna see a lot in 2024.
2024.
You know what I mean?
Talk to me about different like life paths. I know that's one thing you always get into. Like everybody got a certain life path. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, we all got a particular mathematics that goes with us. It's like it's your game. It's like your password to your game based off of some mathematics about when you were born. They say certain things happen at certain ages, and what they call your life path is the totality of the numbers of your birth date and year, and then simplified. There's different life paths. It goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then there's a master 11, 22, and 33, so to speak. And that's from the foundation of numerology life path.
That's dope. Yeah, that's always interested me. You think you were the first one to kind of bring it up to me, but then with the internet, YouTube, I've been seeing a lot of stuff on it, and it's definitely there's a lot to it, and it's a lot of history to that too that they don't really teach us, and it goes far, even further back. When I say teach, I mean like mainstream school and all that. But
yeah,
there's a lot they don't teach in the mainstream school and all that stuff, man. But this been a great episode, man. Make sure just give people a rundown where they can find you on social media if they want to follow you or get involved with anything that you're doing, man.
Okay, so we definitely on IG, Boys Out of the Hood, BOYSOUT, spelled out, Boys, BOYSOUT, Boys Out of the Hood. That's on IG. You could definitely tap in there. I'm real big on, a lot of people ain't on Clubhouse no more, but Society of Builders is a big platform that I build on, and a lot of individuals I've tapped in with and made real connections with on Clubhouse. So if you're on Clubhouse and you're about the upliftment and more private stock building where we could talk about some of these things a little bit more in depth, not on IG or such popular platforms, Society of Builders on Clubhouse, that's pretty much where we at. We on IG, you could catch us. But there's also a personal training page that we got on IG that I share, like, a lot of physical training and things daily as well. That's Body by God. That's BODYXGOD on IG. So both of those pages on Instagram, pretty much. You can reach out, tap in, got any questions. Definitely doing readings as far as the numbers you was talking about. So individuals interested in those type of things, yeah, you can hit me up there.
Dope. Bro, I just want to tell you I'm proud of you, bro. Big things are coming. 2024 coming up. This is the year, bro. I mean, just anything else you want to add before we wrap this up, man. This is, like I say, this is the platform for the guests, and sometimes I may miss something. So if there's anything that maybe I missed you want to talk about, or just any way to kind of put a bow on it.
Just huge appreciation, man. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to you for being authentically yourself. Shout out to you for following through, starting something, bro, and persevering every step of the way, bro. I just want you to know that I'm extremely proud of you. I see you every step of the way, being sincere. So many people talk about it, bro. You're somebody that's doing it. Keep doing what you're doing. Everybody's coming to us. We ain't going to reach out to nobody, and you've been on that since we started. So I just want to say everything you hit on, and shout out to you and the fam. Shout out to you. Shout out to bro. Free bro. Hold your head, bro. I know it's very difficult having a brother that's behind the wall. I lost my little brother while I was behind the wall, so my brother was striving to reach out to me and tap in with me a little bit more. So just shout out to you and appreciation for appreciating your bro and keeping that connection going on and keeping everybody tapped in with him. It's just indicative of what your true character, who your true character is and what you're doing, bro. And this platform that you're setting up to humanize the stories of individuals who are often forgot, the super predators and all that, is a huge step, bro, and it's only up from here, bro. And I appreciate you a million for even having me. It's an honor, King.
Facts. I appreciate you. Appreciate your kind words, though. You know what I like to say here? This is the Bounce Back. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. You know, it is what it is. What's next is what you make it. On that note, we out. Thank you.
Bounce back, you got 'em on, man. When they see you down.